kuntaula banje ayufa kuwashaka wose
bana skolo bana kula disk nge mwana fe na bola na imana na mu ya mwana obama mwana ba disk ute ko boss ko mwana na school ikara
ute ko mwana kishia wote abana amaskolo ni n'abalesange ero ke sa kwa fanko kuntachi kungashi songa tabata disk kale sangu jeno waleka panje tetu wasambirira bantu infominosi ya kuwasha safu ndara mnashito mwana wa COVID-19
abana bambi baleka pangira ngongo kama ndabali test abana bakora na fai
The Knights of Columbus, the world's largest Catholic fraternal service organization, has made 2 major donations of medical oxygen to areas in Peru and Brazil experiencing shortages for treating COVID-19 patients. The donations were sent in February to Manaus, the capital of the Brazilian state of Amazonas and the surrounding areas, and to Cauquén. According to the Catholic News Agency website, in both Manaus and Cauquén, the COVID-19 pandemic has caused not only a substantial increase in the number of deaths, but also a shortage of medical oxygen, along with an increasing demand in order to save lives. In Peru, the Knights sent 15 oxygen concentrators and 50 oxygen tanks to the prelature of St. James the Apostle of Cauquén in southern Peru. In sports, draws for the ABSA Cup have been conducted in Lusaka today, with a 3.8 million kwacha being injected into the tournament. Super League leaders Zanaco have been drawn against Kawe Warriors, while Zesco United will play National Division 1 second place side Kansaishi Dynamos. National Division 1 league leaders Konkolo Blitz will lock horns with the Forest Rangers, while the Saga Dynamos will entertain Prison Leopards. The ABSA Cup quarterfinals will be in Lusaka on 13th and 14th March 2021 at Woodland Stadium, while Copperbelt will host the semi-finals at Arthur Davis Stadium in Kitwe. Winners of the tournament will bag 600,000 kwacha, while runners-up will walk away with 250,000 kwacha. This news broadcast comes to you in the community service of Radio Ichengelo, the compliments of Moose Milling and Go TV Broadcasting Zambia Limited. And now the international news is monitored from the BBC. Chad Supreme Court has cleared President Idris Deby, who had been in power for 30 years, to seek a 6th term in office in the April 11 presidential election. He faces 9 other candidates who were qualified by the Supreme Court, including his men and historical rival, Saleh Kabezabo. Let's now have more international stories from the BBC.
The UN Human Rights Agency has called on Ethiopia to allow UN experts into the country to investigate widespread reports of killings and sexual violence in the Tigray region. Michelle Bachelet said there were accounts of very grave crimes committed by all sides, including the Ethiopians, Eritreans, Tigrayans, and the Amhara regional forces. Imogen Folks reports. Michelle Bachelet said she had received deeply distressing reports of killings, rape, and destruction of property by all sides. While some information is difficult to corroborate, the UN has been able to confirm major violations took place last November, including mass killings and indiscriminate shelling of towns in Tigray. These could amount to war crimes and crimes against humanity. Violence across the region is ongoing. Michelle Bachelet wants immediate access for UN monitors. Defiance demonstrators have returned to the streets of Myanmar to continue their protest against the military coup, despite the police's increasing use of deadly force. The UN says that 38 were killed on Wednesday. Jonathan Head reports.
This was a remarkable show of bravery after the recent violence used by the security forces to try to crush their movement. Protesters were out again in their trademark white and yellow construction helmets, defending the barricades they've built to keep the military out of their neighborhoods, chanting their defiance. Most reported a much lower presence of security forces following a day of savage repression in which police officers and soldiers fired directly into the crowds of unarmed demonstrators, battered medical volunteers with rifle butts, and in at least one case documented on video, summarily executed a man they detained.
Hundreds of people in Myanmar have attended the funeral of a 19-year-old woman killed in the protests. Jae Sin was shot in the head in Mandalay. At the time, she was wearing a T-shirt bearing the words, "Everything will be okay." Her death has hardened attitudes towards the army coup. Before going to a demonstration last week, the young woman put on Facebook her blood type and a message saying she was willing to donate her organs. On the eve of the first ever papal visit to Iraq, Pope Francis has said he'll be making the journey as a pilgrim of peace. In a video addressed to the Iraqi people, he said that after years of war in their country, he would ask God for reconciliation. The Pope said he wanted to pray with people of other religious traditions. His visit is expected to include a meeting with the hugely influential Shia Muslim cleric.
To end the main news, a reminder of the headlines. Christians cautioned against jealousy and selfishness. An 11-year order PV of Ndola is nursing serious injuries after falling from a moving goods train. And National Division 1 League leaders call Colorblades to face Forest Rangers in the quarterfinals of the APS Cup. There we end the main news. Good afternoon.